enough to get going. I want to try to wrap us up by 6 p.m. so we can get on with our evening. So Denise is on a much deserved vacation. I think she's in Disney World with family, so that's really exciting. I'm sure she'll watch this later, so we can all say hi to Denise for her to catch up. But so tonight we have a couple agenda items, but the big thing is really reviewing all the craft booths. So we'll spend most of the time taking a look at those. So we'll call the meeting to order. I'm guessing Kathleen, if you don't say anything, there were no public comments. Okay. Did everyone get a chance to look at the minutes, or do we want to take a minute to look at those from the last meeting? And if there's a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
Great. And then Jenny, second?
Yeah, second.
Perfect. If there's no comment, are we all in favor of approving these minutes?
Yes.
Awesome. So, okay. Staff update. You'll see it in your packet, short notes from Denise. And I just have a few more updates based on top of that. So that's page 4 in your meeting materials packet. So Denise mentions here that we have $18,300 of committed funds, which is really exciting. That means that we have enough to kind of comfortably run the festival and be in a really good place. We also have a new potential sponsor that's interested, and she'll hopefully have more information about that at our next meeting. We're still also waiting to hear back about a possible bank sponsorship that they applied for online. But they, Denise and the whole team did a really great job of kind of getting those sponsorships to where they should be. And this is an increase over 2019 and 2021, which is exciting. So for activity booths, there are currently 38, and she thinks that this will go up a few more. So it won't be quite as many as pre-COVID, but with the crafts booth section, that actually kind of helps fill it out pretty nicely. So food booths, so far, all of them are returning from 2021. So there's 5 food booths. And they're actually extending the activity and food booth applications by 2 weeks just to see if we can get a few more in. Because there's definitely people like us at the Ballard Institute who waited, till the last minute to submit their application. So I'm sure there's others. Sponsor booths, there's 4 to 7, and they're still looking to get, finalize a few more. Craft booths we'll talk about more. Right now we have 11 applications. She was wondering if 2 more, they had contacted her about possibly applying. And she was just waiting to see if they would send in their stuff. So there might be a few more, but she was trying to cap it so that we would review all of them at this meeting. So I think we only have the 11 applications. And the goal, her goal was to really have even just minimum 6 craft booths, but to have them all show up, because if anyone worked last year's festival, some of them just didn't show up. So we're hoping that we have some craft booths, even if it's not all 10 spots, there's 10 spots total, but even if we don't go with all 10, hopefully we have enough that really show up for the festival. So activities, cornhole tournament. She's still seeking a partner to run the tournament. They have 3 cornhole sets, but she's looking for more. Now, I know when we talked, we had thought about, sorry, now I'm blanking on the name, Hops 44 as being a potential place to run it, and that kind of fell through. So her and I both kind of thought, we wonder if we could assign one of the volunteer teams, maybe one of the sports teams, to run the cornhole tournament. Like if it's the rowing team, they schedule their people throughout the day and they're in charge of the cornhole tournament. I kind of felt like they might love that.
Yeah, I was just going to add, Emily, that I think that with our college volunteers, that's a great use of their time and their energy and their skill. Who doesn't love a good game of cornhole?
Right.
So when I put it out and I start really amping up the correspondence with the Uconn organizations, I'll include that as an option and see if any of those sports, groups jump out to want to do that. I have a feeling there might be some that just want to.
Yeah. I think so too.
I just want to add, we just toured, my son just had orientation at Central, and they actually have a cornhole club team. So I don't know if Uconn has that. Maybe we could try to tap them if it exists.
Yeah, let's look into that. That would be great, actually. Because then if they're in charge of it, they can send their people throughout the day and hopefully it will just run itself rather than us having to stay on top of the cornhole tournament
Right,
area.
and if it's like an organized group that actually does that, they're a little bit more aware of rules and everything to go
Yeah.
by. So they kind of have this entire routine down of how to run it, how to play it, and what the rules are.
That's right. If we're going to host a tournament, we need to make sure that we're following, strict cornhole rules and standards. So,
Yeah, trust you me, they're out there.
oh, I know.
There is indeed a intramural cornhole league at Uconn.
Wow, a whole league?
A whole league. They got this thing. I'll share this from the rec. They got rules and everything.
That's awesome. That could be really fun to try to connect with them. I don't think we've ever had the cornhole league volunteer at the Celebrate Mansfield, so that could be a whole new
Well,
sector to
If ultimately they can't run it, could we possibly get the list of regulations for it, just so that we have a basis?
That link I just sent has the scoring rules and the gameplay.
Okay.
Very cool. Great. So, go ahead.
Can I just ask too?
Yeah.
For that cornhole tournament, is there a reward if you're the winner, or is it just for fun? What's the end game of that tournament?
That's a really good question. Maybe we could think about that. I wonder. I don't want to ask the local businesses to donate anything, but I wonder if we could do some kind of gift card or something like that to something local.
Yeah.
Let's all brainstorm that one. And if we have any ideas, I'm sure Denise and Mansfield Downtown Partnership might have some thoughts on it too, but let's think about that.
Okay.
If there is if there's a reward, would there be an entry fee to sign up? If you're offering a reward, would teams have to pay a $5 entry fee or something? Because that might even cover the gift card. If we wanted to do a gift card and say, if your team of 2 pays $5 per team, that might be.
Yeah.
an option.
What were we talking about though? I feel like, Colby, were you there? We're not allowed to do a raffle. Is that what they mentioned at the last board meeting?
Right. It has to be a drawing.
It has to be a drawing. Okay.
A nice gift might be the adventure park.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Are they usually involved in Celebrate? They usually have a booth, don't they?
I think so. I think because Lynn Stoddard, who is part of that, is on the sustainability committee, and she wasn't available for the sustainability committee booth, I think because of the adventure park. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we can
Can
reach
I-
out. Oh,
Hi,
Yeah.
it's
That-
Kathleen.
Kathleen? Yeah.
I've been having trouble with the microphone and stuff, so I'm sorry for interrupting. But raffles and drawings are not typically, well, I should backtrack. We have historically not allowed fundraising at the festival, and that would include a raffle or a drawing. If the committee wanted to do something for the benefit of the festival, there is a precedent of doing a drawing. I don't believe we charged anything when we did the drawing before. It was for gift baskets, and this is going back almost 10 years, so I'd have to dig up the records. But I know Denise had been thinking about the prizes for this, so maybe when she gets back we can check in with her, because I think she may have some ideas of what to do, and there may be some
Great.
money in the partnership marketing budget unrelated to the festival that could be used if we don't want to ask for donations.
but that wouldn't be considered a raffle, right? If someone won something?
I'd have to look up the legal rules. Can I get differentiates between drawings and raffles? And I don't know those rules off the top of my head.
Okay.
And I don't know what the rules are for entry into a contest like that.
Okay. Okay, so we'll work it out. I mean, if anything, it could be more informal and people just play on the spot and they get bragging rights. Maybe we give them a pumpkin or a mum from the stage.
They just have to stay and help clean up to get it.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly. It was worth it last year. I really loved the mums and pumpkins that I took away. Okay, so we'll talk to Denise about that. Great. And then the Mansfield Academy of Dance, they are going to provide dance demos at the performance spot that's on Wilbercross Way. And she pointed out that right now, there's just the one performance spot that's across the street from Nash, where Kids Cuckooville Review was last year. And she was saying that if anyone had a good name for it rather than the performance spot, let's throw it out there. So brainstorm that as well.
Hmm.
And then the electric vehicle rally, she has no update. The contact that she had was on vacation till August. And so she's going to follow up with them, when she gets back from vacation to see if she gets any updates. So I think that's all the staff updates that I have. Now, I think I'm going to be jumping over to, is it Kathleen? Kathleen for an entertainment update.
Okay, so unfortunately, I don't have what I had hoped to be updating you all on. We are trying to get the last bits of paperwork finalized with the headlining act, and then we have a few moving pieces for the opening acts. The one thing I can say is, unfortunately, the Uconn Marching Band will not be able to participate as they have that date's not available on their schedule. However, they're going to be playing the halftime show for the E.O. Smith High School football game on Friday, the day before the festival. So they've asked if we can help promote that appearance as part of the festival weekend festivities. I will be promoting it through the downtown stores website, email blasts, things like that. But I guess I want to get your thoughts on expanding like the promotional message on either the website for the festival or other promotion, if you think that's a what's the word I'm looking for? If you think it's kind of like kosher for lack of.
I personally think that the festival website should remain as the festival website and we promote just the festival. I think we have other ways in town that we can promote this. I think E.O. Smith has their webpage. We have other avenues of social media that we could use in other ways. But I think the festival, because it's so unique as to what it is, stays just the festival. And that's me. And I'm looking at all of these nodding heads and thinking, I think we're on the same page as a committee for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the day. So I agree as well that just unless we want to expand it to be Celebrate Mansfield Fest weekend, I don't know. But for now, it's a festival.
Jenny, do you remember we did do that like in 2010?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
reason we stopped, I would say.
Yeah. It's a lot to pull together the day of festival. So yeah.
So does it seem to make sense then that we agree that social media promotion is fine, but that otherwise the website and kind of the overall promotion for Celebrate Mansfield remains to the actual festival on the 24th?
Okay, that sounds good to me. Yeah, I think unfortunately, I really had hoped to have a more detailed update for you all. But until we get a signed contract, I'm not comfortable with. And I also, part of the contract will be the public announce date. So when we can announce the band and when the band would announce the date. So you usually have that as a mutually agreed upon date as part of your contract, which I do not have.
Otherwise, how is it coming along, Kathleen, with the other entertainment?
To be honest, it's a lot of moving pieces, but I think it's starting to like settle into place. And I should say that Emily and I are meeting on Friday to talk about the puppet pageant. So that's for sure. Timing we'll figure out. And then I have a few other things where I'm going back and forth with folks. So hopefully, like I said, it will settle down.
I mean, it's probably kind of tricky to line up any Uconn acts, right? Until school starts, or are you able to kind of start looking at some of those different performers throughout the day?
Yeah, kind of. Well, Denise is handling the roaming or the
Got it,
strolling
yeah.
side of things. I'm only focused on the main stage. And I unfortunately I don't know where she is on that, but yes, until they come back to campus, it can be really difficult to get in touch with kids who are maybe not checking their Uconn email. Just like in general, I would say since COVID, booking has been very odd, just for everybody. So I'm not worried about it. It's just like it's just been a weird time to try to book people.
Yeah.
And I think people are still just getting used to being in like post-COVID era. So I'll let you guys know as soon as I can.
Right. Any
For-
other,
for-
oh, go ahead.
For Uconn organizations, would it be worth looking at some of their a cappella groups? Maybe?
Yes, so the last couple of years we've had a cappella groups come and they stroll. So Denise actually kind of gives them suggested performance spots, and they kind of get a time slot and they can walk through the crowd and do that. We try just for like logistical reasons and for the sound, the a cappella on the stage during this event with everything else going on isn't really the best fit for those groups to be really heard because of the style of music. And we found over the years that the more intimate, like street style performance gets them a better response, and they really enjoy that. So she usually fills up all the slots. So I think we should be having that again, assuming that everything goes, okay with COVID protocols and everything. But yeah, they're a great resource, and it's fun to have them interact with the community.
Great. Any other entertainment updates, Kathleen?
Not that I have in addition to what Denise had already updated about the the children's area.
Great. Ginny, do you have any low waste updates?
Yes, I do. And I will say that Sarah and I went to Restaurant Depot and bought some samples of woven wood bowls, which I can show you right here. This is what they look like. And I actually met with some of the food vendors, and they suggested that I run it through the dishwasher, which I did multiple times, commercial dishwasher, but these are not commercial dishwasher safe. So I talked to food service, Eastern Highland Health District, and they told me the protocol, the food safety protocol. So everything would have to be washed beforehand and placed in food grade containers and stored with the bowl upside down, so they're reached, from instead of the inside, the outside. However, none of that means anything because there is a supply chain issue, and these are not available. I can't. I look. Yeah, I just can't find anything that's dishwasher safe that is in stock. So, so I have another proposal. And let me tell you, I'm a little bit sick of researching prices and products, but what if we got forks and spoons, washable forks and spoons? There is a supply still of the wooden forks and spoons, but potentially not enough. So, it'd be around $300 to get 500 of each forks and spoons. And I would get bus tubs with lids to store them in, and dish basins to use at each of the waste stations to collect them. And if it's just way too much work to do this in the future, all that could go to a school because the schools use washable silverware.
So a thought, Ginny, I like that idea, the silverware. At the last MES PTO meeting, we were talking about being a net zero school and what that means and what we need to do. And Ginny, we talked about you and giving information about what that means. And so what we decided that we're going to do for events is start forming a culture that families bring their own reusable cups, utensils, plates, whatever that might
Yep.
be when we have events. In addition to supplying the wooden silverware, what if we start promoting now, hey, families, bring your reusable utensils, bring your plates, bring your bowls, and they can just throw them in a reusable bag and maybe start forming, not everybody's going to do it and not everybody's going to remember, but if you have 5 people that remember to do that, then that 5 people turns into 15 people the year after. And we start to establish this culture of bringing your own stuff.
Yeah.
I love that idea. And I also think going along to kind of what we said before of, instead of raising money or fundraising, which we can't do, we can give away these things that are donated to us. So maybe the families that do bring stuff, they get entered to win one of our mums or, something along those lines that could be donated or a wildflower arrangement. I don't know, but we do that at work. And Christine, I'm going to tell you, for the first year, everyone was like, what do you mean? I have to bring my own plate and my own silverware. And by year 2, they were like, I brought extras for other people. So it does catch on. You will always have the people that will begrudgingly not do it. But we started it. And at first, not a lot of people jumped on that bandwagon, and now they do. And I mean, we're only into this for 3 years. So I do like that idea to encourage that. And Ginny, I think for $500 or $300, I think to have a backup plan, if it is too much work, it sounds like it's something that would be put to good use anyway. So I think it's a good way to try in a much smaller scale than lugging around all these giant plates and bowls. So I think it would really give us a good chance to try it out.
Okay.
Can I
That's
ask
just
a
me.
question? I don't know if we ever talked about it or not, it's been a while, but would any of the local schools let us borrow for that weekend plates or bowls or utensils? Or do they have those types of things that, I don't know, if we could even just borrow a couple hundred?
They have trays, divided trays. So at this point, they don't. I mean, they have silverware or flatware, but yeah, I'd be a little nervous about that in case
That's true, if we lost a bunch of.
And
yeah,
also with the elementary schools, Southeast being down right now, there's a lot already going on. Almost anxiety
yeah,
issues going on with the
Yeah.
2 elementary schools now trying to house the students of 3 elementary schools and who's in what school. I think they've got a lot more on their plate
Sure.
right now that I think to try to throw that in on them and ask them to start donating stuff.
Yeah.
I think we get a little pushback from that. But what I wanted to ask also is, according to our notes here, at this point, there's only 5 food vendors. Do we know what they're trying to serve, even trying to serve as far as the type of food?
I haven't, Food for Thought is going to be, the Uconn Food for Thought's going to be serving burgers and hot dogs. So they would want plates.
But my understanding from my notes with meeting with Denise was that, why do I feel like they said that they were bringing their own?
That's the Uconn dining service. They
Okay.
do the food demos. So they're going to serve on they're going to bring
They're
their
bringing
own
their own china.
porcelain bowls and spoons for, taste testing. So that's awesome. Yeah, I have a count. I get a count from the food vendors. So before the festival, weeks before the festival, I ask them what kind of food they're making and what they need in terms of supplies. And then I sort it and provide them the box of the stuff they've asked for. So I have that count, and I have I actually have that sheet if you want to see it, but if not, it's, we have supplies. We have enough 6-inch plates, and we have possibly enough bowls for this year, but we may need more forks and spoons. We have a supply of wooden forks and spoons. So if the washable ones don't cover it, then we'll go to the wooden ones, is my thinking.
I think that idea makes sense, to try to do the reusable silverware, have the backup of the wooden spoons. How back ordered are the wooden bowls?
They just said out of stock. We'll let you know, do you want to know when they're in supply? So a couple months ago, or a month and a half ago, when I was looking into this, I put my email down, but since then more things have become out of stock. So
Do you think Uconn Dining Services would have any ins with like suppliers? I don't know if it's worth reaching out to them and just seeing if they know, if Dennis Pierce or.
It's Tracy's, I forget her last name, Tracy Robin, I think maybe.
Okay.
I
I think
had
it's Tracy Roy.
Tracy Roy. Okay, I had contacted her about using, could we wash the dishes there? And it was a flat no. So I don't know if there's.
I just wasn't sure if they had suppliers that we might be able to order from on a quicker timeline, but.
Yeah. So anyhow, okay, I will go ahead and order flatware, and God willing, it won't be out of stock.
Did you two have fun shopping? Was it everything you imagined and more?
As my sister says, I get hives when I have to shop. I
Even
hate
with Sarah
to
there?
shop. Sarah
Well,
was in love with the process. I was
not in love with the process. So they had moved the building and everything about it was different. And we you can't just go in and buy stuff. You have to actually be an approved, licensed vendor, which was fine in the town of Mansfield and we were fine, but it took us a long time just to buy some samples. And we felt very out of place from all of these restaurant owners that were buying lots of product. And we were like, we just want some bowls. Can we just can we leave with these bowls? But it was a good day nonetheless. We got locked into our tiny little town car, and Ginny and I couldn't get out. So it was really a good day.
Yeah, we had fun. And Sarah has a can-do spirit, whereas I'm like, oh, I think we have to turn around and go back. And she's like, no, they'll let us in.
Good. Christine?
Oh, I just have a fun fact about restaurant supply companies. I used to do the catalogs for those back in the day. Riveting creative work.
Very. I was gonna say, yep, it was.
Wow, you don't have any connections, do you, Christine, to the reusable bowl
Like
industry?
15 years ago, I don't think I do.
But in all honesty, I go in there and I love to cook, and I was like, whoa, this stuff's cool. I want it all. So it was a neat experience. It was fine. And a day spent with Ginny is a good day. We had a lot of laughs. We did.
That's great. Good. Okay, so Ginny, you're gonna move forward with the silverware, and we'll see if hopefully we're able to get those in time. I think that's still exciting. And I do think, oh, go ahead, Kathleen.
Sorry,
you?
can I ask a question about that? I'm sorry. It's so awkward. So am I understanding this correct, that we are going to ask people to bring their own reusable plates, silverware or utensils, and drinkware?
That's what I was just gonna ask. Do we want to try to make that effort this time, or does that feel like a little bit?
Actually, thinking about it from a commercial food standpoint, I don't know if the health district department would even allow that, because Ginny, if they're telling you that they have to be cleaned and stored a certain way, we don't know how
Yeah.
all these people are cleaning and storing their dishes and plates.
Yeah.
So
I don't, and it's one thing to go to like a function, like a dinner
right.
party, or you have a school event, but people will be walking around, visiting different vendors. I don't think it's
Right. Not
conducive
when
to
there's
do that.
permits required. PTO
Yeah,
dinners don't require permits. These food
Right.
vendors require permits. So
right,
I think
right.
they're held to a different level of standards.
It's a different
So I think we have
circumstance.
to forego that option.
I'd agree, but I
So the-
like the idea, Christine. I think it's a great idea for like gatherings. Yeah.
So in terms of communicating to visitors and volunteers, I have on the website like a section on low waste. I added it today, and it talks about the activity booths and it talks about sorting your trash and everything. And then I usually include something about the compostable bowls and whatnot. Jenny, do I put that back on now for this year? Is that what I'm understanding?
There is going to be compostable stuff, but
Okay.
I would once I have made the order and maybe maybe received it even, or get confirmation on when I'm going to receive it, then if you could add, this year we're trying out washable flatware, or
Okay.
or if you want to do something like that. But yes, there's still going to be compostable food service.
Okay.
And I guess
so
we'll want to think
in the-
about signage, right? Too, like to make sure
Yes.
on the day of people aren't throwing away their silverware.
Right. So that's something that I talked to Denise about. And I guess Kathleen, you're going to be creating something for the food booths that right? I don't
Well,
know.
I
Were you part of?
probably I make all the signs, so once I
Okay.
usually I just get told what signs are needed, and
Okay.
we haven't gotten to that stage yet. I think maybe we're probably waiting for more direction from you on what we were
Yeah.
actually doing.
Yep.
So
Yep.
why don't you and Denise and I touch base on that after you've placed your order and get
Yep.
a delivery confirmation.
Okay. Yep. We'll do.
And in the meantime, I'll add back in the compost information about how the food booths are participating in the low waste activities.
Yeah. Okay, great.
All right. Thank you.
Am I right in thinking that these are going to be like silverware, or will it be wooden?
They're going to be this.
So it should be clear to people that it's not something you like throw away. It's like,
You would think,
Metal.
yes.
okay.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
metal. Yep.
Great. Anything else to update for low waste? No? Okay. So let's get to the main agenda item, the reviewing of the craft booth applications. Does everyone have that PDF open? Okay, so just a reminder, we will not, because this is recorded and viewable by the public, we are not going to use the craft booth names. So let's refer to them either by their page number, or at least when I open the PDF, I see them bookmarked on the left and numbered. But we can also just do page number, whichever is easier. But please try not to use their names. And let's kind of talk about them in general and professionally, just because we want to be respectful of everyone's art and products. So as a reminder, there's technically 10 spaces. We have 11 applications. Now, Denise says we should try to keep it to 10 spots, but we can always, we probably will have extra room available if we decide we want to stick with all 11. So I'm thinking we can just go down this list. Oh yeah, Sarah.
Just a quick question for Sarah. So do we know how many booths did not show up last year? It was
Craft booths?
multiple. Yeah.
I think it was multiple. I didn't write down how many didn't show, but it was a few.
Okay.
Right, and the other thing that I
I
saw
think it was
on,
2.
Was it only 2?
There was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
thinking it was 2 or
I-
3. I think she was saying that there
think
were
there was-
9 and then only 6 were there maybe.
Yeah, I think there was a couple that had applied with different types of product. They each have their own business. One of them one of them was unable to attend due to health reasons, so both of them
Right.
didn't attend. And then there was a third one. So I think
Yeah.
like 3 technically 3 different vendors, 2 different booths.
Got it. Was there another question?
No, what I was gonna say is, I know that we keep saying that there are 11, but if you also look, 1 and 2 are related and have offered to share a booth if space is limited. So we just
Got
want
it.
to keep that
Okay.
in mind.
Good. So let's, if it's okay, we're gonna start at the top. For me, it's page number 1, application number 1, if you're looking at the bookmarks. Any thoughts, you know, or if it's easy enough to say, do we want them? Do we think they're good to go? Yeah, do you want to do the thumbs up if we're happy with it? Feel free to take a minute to look at the photos. Is that everyone? Everyone's on board with number 1? Awesome. Okay, I should probably make sure to mark it down. Okay, so number 1 is a go. Booth number 2, which starts on page 6. I'm seeing, great. So number 2 is approved, and Andrea, as you were saying, if we need to, we can put them together. Application.
Yeah, I would
number-
just like to make that note. I think that that's important if they're willing to share a space, because, you know, just doing a quick look at all of these craft booths, they all look really cool. And
Mhm.
I almost like the fact that we might be able to accept all of them. I mean, I know we have to keep going down, but I like the fact that these 2 people said they would be together. So
Yeah,
I think that's
a really
cool.
good point.
Yeah.
So application number 3 starts on page 13.
I think this is super cool. It's
Me too.
sustainable. It's using old things, making new things. It's literally what this festival is about.
Yeah, I love it. So is that, we all in favor? Awesome. Oh, you guys are making it easy. Okay, number 4, which starts on page 16. One thing that came up in my discussion with Denise is thinking about in general, you know, what is a craft? I tend to go broad, but we can think about this as we're looking at some of these applications. So application number 4, page 16.
I think this is a craft. I think that people that can be creative and make these safe to use at home things. I think also taking in mind that, like, we have a good amount of jewelry vendors. This is different. This is something that might draw some attention.
Right. I would say anything as an artisan good feels like a craft labeled thing for a festival. I think this is certainly a booth that you can see at any festival. And
That's like I kind of brought that up word up when I was talking to her. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a craft, but like artisan, I definitely think that this falls within that. Any other thoughts or questions? No. So is this one also a thumbs up? Okay.
I think that one also goes a little bit along with stuff like we were just talking in Mansfield, how
Yeah.
some of the things we kind of are trying to promote through this festival. I think it goes right along with that.
I think that's a really good point. So application number 5 starts on page 20. Any thoughts or feedback?
I like that they're willing to demonstrate the craft. I think that's cool. Again, I think it brings like a different level to the festival of having an activity along with a product. They are kind of from further away, Bridgeport. So it's like, are they really committed to driving that far on that day? But it's out of the ordinary. It's not something else that we have as a particular craft vendor. It's a product most people enjoy. I'm
think that's a
thumbs
really
up
good
to
point.
everything.
Then you pointing out that
So-
they want to demonstrate it. I think that's really interesting. I hadn't noted that.
yeah, I think that would be in our consideration of how we station them, and to think, you know, if there's other booths that are willing to demonstrate, do we want 5 demonstrations right next to each other? Do we want the demonstrations kind of spread out and then a non-demonstrating next to them? So I think that's a good consideration to look at as we go forward.
So what's the consensus? Everyone's on board? Great. Okay. application number 6 starts on page 23. Yeah, this one seems
I like
pretty
to just
easy.
always add a little comment, but I mean, they're from Mansfield. They're local.
Yeah,
They're,
yeah.
you know, I think it's a great place to highlight.
Great. Okay. Number 7 starts on page 26. Yeah. Okay. That one's good to go.
Sorry,
So-
what was the consensus on that? I'm trying to,
Thumbs
I'm
up.
gonna notify them. Thumbs up. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, is this okay how we're doing it, Kathleen? Trying to keep,
Yeah, I was just like
Mention-
switching back and forth between the PDF and the screen, and I missed that one.
sure.
Sorry.
so far 1 through 7 are all approved.
All right, got it. Thanks.
Okay, so we are on to number 8, which is page 29. There's a Uconn connection. I love that. Okay, great. So number 8 is good to go. Okay. Now number 9, something that I noted when talking with Denise was that there were no photos included. I did try to Google them a little bit, and the online presence isn't as strong or isn't really there very much. There was no town listed, but I think I figured out that they're from not Mansfield, but nearby. So I'm not sure what we think. And I don't know if you want to take a minute to Google them and try to find photos.
I wasn't even sure what they are making.
I think it's crocheted items from what I could tell with the photos, although it does
Oh,
seem like they
okay.
offer a couple different services or things under their name.
I see.
So
I
I feel like,
personally, oh yeah,
Oh,
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
so I feel like if you're doing crafts or artisan, it doesn't take that much to take a couple quick pictures on a phone or a digital camera, and they don't have to be well presented to just give us a flavor of what you're trying to sell. So I mean, if we had 10 spots, I would put them at 11 and as a maybe if somebody couldn't make it.
Yeah,
That's kinda
Colby,
how
I see
feel.
you have some thoughts.
Looking at their website, some of the things they're offering are more of a person service and less of a craft service, and that is an option. But I think that, like, would we have groups, would we offer a booth for a massage booth? Like, that feels like it's kind of into that realm of things where, I would just wonder, are we keeping it to just, are we doing all of their services that they provide, or would it just be their physical craft service?
I think that's a really good question. I think I was looking at their application because I also had that question when I was looking at their website. Based on their application, it looks like they're focusing on herbal items and crocheted items, not necessarily their person-based services. But that might be something that we would want to clarify too if we were to accept them. Are there any other thoughts? Jane?
Yeah, I think they need to send some pictures of what they're, like you said, because I just, looking at this, I wasn't even clear what they were offering.
Yeah.
And I mean, they describe things, but I wasn't
Yeah.
sure, did they make them? So,
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I mentioned go ahead, Sarah.
Nope, I was just gonna say, my only other thing I would like to add is that the price of some of these things just seems outside of the scope of the other tables. Not that that's a bad thing. In handmade's handmade and art is art, and I like that, but it also might be something that we take into consideration. Just, a lot of these items are over that even $50 mark, which some of the other ones are below 25.
And so I think I mentioned to Denise, and maybe when we think about it going forward, is I don't think I'm looking at the application and I don't think images are necessarily required. It's a box there, but I do feel like we maybe want to make it more of a, if you don't send photos, then you didn't send a complete application, because I think it's right. If you really want to sell your product, there should be images. It's hard to know what the quality, you know, or what's actually being sold without images. So I think we might want to make that more of a requirement going forward.
So I do think that it was part of the application. It says
Was it?
applicants should provide 4 digital photographs of their original products and
Okay.
1 optional photograph of their complete booth display.
Got it. Because it's like on the application, it just says like, I have, maybe it's because they're like trying to make sure you've done it, but
Yeah.
so it was a requirement.
Yeah, so it's on the selection criteria page 2 of
Got
the
it.
application, where it explains what you need to do.
Okay.
And then the purpose of the check boxes down there is like, we've found over the years that sometimes people forget something, but if they see that check, they say, oh, I should
Okay,
put in
so
my
that's like a personal
photograph.
reminder. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So how does the committee want to move forward with this one? Is it a maybe? Is it a you didn't complete the application, or is it a go ahead? Yes.
I feel like it's a, you didn't complete the application.
Does anyone else, do we agree with that? What do we feel?
We
I
can
would-
always also reach back out to them, notify them, your application looks incomplete. Can you please provide us with a few photographs in order for us to properly assess it?
Yeah, I'd prefer to do that, actually. And I mean, would it be, Kathleen, what would be the timeline though for deciding? We're meeting on the 9th. Is the next meeting the 23rd?
Yes, it is. And, you know, this would be something that I don't know how Denise would feel about it. If it was me, I'd be like, you know, we gave a deadline and it was
Yeah.
a pretty basic application.
Okay.
The other applicants were
Did.
able to turn them in completed. The one, you know, Denise is going to have to start planning the booth spaces for all this. So having that one like left in the air might be something that could be difficult depending on how the rest of the site planning goes. And then the other question would be like, is this vendor going to be able to have enough time to prepare appropriate amount of items for sale at the festival if we can't approve them until after the 23rd?
My thought would be maybe a sending back of uncompleted application, but we would love to see you apply next year, you know, filling out all of the correct information and providing some of those images. We would be happy to consider you for next year's festival.
All right,
Yeah, I agree then. If it's too late and confusing things, yes.
So, but I just went on her website or on the company's website, and there are some photos available on that.
Right.
And it kind of falls into line with what some of the other items are that people are selling. So I don't feel 100% comfortable just dismissing it based on the fact that I can go right online and see her items. So why, if we're accepting the other people with those items? And I understand we would have preferred photos, but we have access to them.
But
Christine?
it's,
Oh, maybe I'm a stickler and it's just kind of like, I also work in marketing. You're trying to market yourself. It was part of the application. And, you know, I don't want to have to do extra work to find your stuff when it should have been submitted. That's just how I feel personally.
I was going to say, that's how I operate at the university. Like when
On a
students apply
professional
for a
level,
job,
exactly.
if you don't submit all the things that I ask for, then I don't review your application. So maybe that's harsh, but
Right, and I technically am like that too,
yeah.
but are we for this festival? Like,
Right, but is there another concern that other information on here is not fully fleshed out? We didn't get, like, all of the information is not provided. There's not a phone number, there's not a full mailing address. So there's a couple factors kind of added on to it that makes me slightly concerned. And we have to add in the stipulation of what services are you providing? Are you aware that it is just for your crafts side of it, which we could happily say, but going onto the website, it feels like there's a lot of all over things, which is great. But is it for one booth? Because even in their title, it's almost like they're submitting for two things.
Okay.
Would be my, but I completely hear what you're saying as well.
Yeah, I mean, she's got like a baby blanket, the baby bonnet. There are definitely, it looks like some jewelry, some oils.
Kathleen, is there, because I don't have that first page in front of me, is there a price point, like recommendation or restriction for these applications?
Yes, let me just pull it up.
There's also items on this list that are not on the website, which, not that I'm asking everyone to submit all of their items, but there's quite a few items on this list and there's not as many on the website.
In my mind, there's two options, just to say that, like Colby was saying, without the photos, we couldn't assess the application fully, and we look forward to you applying next year, or writing back and saying, you need to get us photos by Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, but I don't know if we can even review them independently without our meeting. So those are the two kind of options that I see. I don't know if I feel completely comfortable accepting it as is without kind of photos or a further idea of what exactly will be at the booth.
I
Well,
think,
I'm sorry.
go ahead, Kathleen.
If you were to ask for photos and the vendor would supply them by the time that you said, what we could do is email the committee with the images. You would not be able to discuss this via email because of the way the Freedom of Information Act rules work. You could respond back to either me or Denise, whoever is sending it, with your vote, and then we would just go from there. So you wouldn't be able to have a conversation about it unless you wait until the 23rd. My only concern with that is what I already said.
Yeah.
Nope, and I think
And just being
Kathleen,
considerate of Denise's time.
No,
yep, I would
that's
even
stressful.
say that, what's tomorrow, Wednesday? I would even say if they have pictures on their website and they're up on their website, then we give them till Friday. We need
Yeah, I
pictures
think
by
so.
Friday. And we need an email, yes or no, by the committee, no later than Monday.
Kathleen,
for
is that an
Denise.
issue because Denise is out, or could you, I don't want to add something to your plate that's not part of your responsibility.
I think we could do a committee vote Monday. I'm saying these people have to get pictures to
But
us by
who
Friday.
will email her? Would it be Kathleen would email this person, or would you want me to, Kathleen?
No, I can email because either Cynthia or I are going to email the people who are accepted and let them know that Denise will be in touch with more information. So, if it's just, so far it's just one, I can send that email out. I can give them a deadline of Friday with a specific time. That gives me time to email the committee before I'm done on Friday. And then if you all could get the answer to us by like noon on Monday, that wouldn't mess up Denise's scheduling with like trying to do, she's hitting the crunch time for this event. So I just worry about her time too. But I think you guys are all bringing up valid concerns, and I do think it was a pretty basic application. So as I remember who Sarah said, like the vendor has photos on their website, so presumably they have photos of their items, they just chose not to attach them. And so they should be able to provide them at a quick turnaround. I don't think that's too much of an ask.
I feel better about that than just telling them no.
Christine, did you have your hand raised?
I just feel like
Yeah.
maybe we're putting more effort in it than the person who filled out the application did. That's all. And maybe I'm just too tough.
No, I hear you. I'm the same way. I would say if people are more comfortable giving her this and I would say Friday is the latest. Like I think I agree, Sarah. This is it. Maybe going forward, we review the application and we make it stricter that if you do not do these things, your application will not be reviewed. And then going forward, I'll do what I do with the app, the student worker employee, and I just throw them out. I don't even look at them, It's not worth my
Yeah, and I
time.
mean, I was gonna add, because even like if we move on to that next vendor, last year we had someone who had a very similar product, but they were literally just taking a graphic that was not, it was just a, run of the mill graphic and putting it on a material and selling it. This is different. And we had agreed last year that we did not like that vendor because we did not think it was personalized or artistic enough and we didn't like it. So we made that hard line last year. We made that decision. I think we're sticking to that this year. And all of us have that in the back of our mind. Like, we really want this to be something artistic, artisan, purposeful. And, this particular vendor, where this is number 9, is that where we're at?
Yep.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Yeah, they didn't. We're going to give them a hard deadline. And now we know next year we're not going to be as lenient. And I think that's fine. I think we
Yeah.
learn from it.
Okay. So the decision, Kathleen, is that for vendor number 9, we will email them and ask them to complete their application by sending photos by Friday. And I would maybe say Friday at noon. So you have time, Kathleen, to send us the images. And we as a committee will get you our feedback by Monday morning. Does that seem reasonable to everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I got that noted. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so moving on to number 10. One thing that was brought up in my discussion with Denise was just if there was enough product there to fill a booth. So that's just something for the committee to think about. But does anyone have thoughts?
Well, again, so what they're, okay, without making, specific reference. I don't see any pictures of them. What are the causes? What are the things that
There are
are?
pictures for this next one.
Yes.
So if you read the description, it's actually really kind of cool. They take artwork from local students and then they put it onto t-shirts. So
Where is
it's
the
actual.
pictures of the t-shirts?
The application
Oh.
starts on 37 and the pictures are on page 38.
Oh, okay. It's on people.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so yes.
Ah,
So it's artwork that people created, students. I believe
Okay.
it's another Uconn affiliated company, I believe. So it
Hi.
takes actual artwork and then takes that artwork and puts it on a t-shirt or a tote bag. And this is just me personally. I think that the prices for the tote bag and the t-shirt are 100% reasonable.
Yes.
I think it's really neat that it's expressing lots of, I know we only got 2 images of different artwork, but I still think it's really cool that they're doing that. That's somebody's artwork that they put on a t-shirt.
I think they're cute too. I like
agree.
them.
thank you for explaining that to me. I was like, why are there pictures?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. Yes, thumbs up.
Everyone on board? Does anyone have any concerns, questions? Colby?
Are they looking for to get artwork at? Are they like, is their goal that people come with artwork and submit that to get put on t-shirts, or they're selling
No, I think they're already
items that are already made?
Mhm.
Great.
I like that we're supporting them.
I know, I think they're cute. Okay, so approved number 10. And last but not least, number 11, page 40, and then the pictures are on page 41 and 42. Approved? Yeah, okay. Number 11 is approved, Kathleen. So that means right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, and 11 are good to send emails to approving their applications. And number 9, we're gonna ask for photos and a completed application by Friday to make a decision by Monday morning.
And I
Does-
also think we can make a note to keep in mind that as of right now, we can plan ahead if all of these vendors accept to combine 1 and 2, but also on the day of, be prepared if no one shows up to
Yep.
kind of be able to give them a space. So we won't require an additional table, but we'll have that option available
That
made to
option.
them on that day if one of these other vendors backs out.
I think that's great.
Right, so Kathleen, then that would need, like 1 and 2 need to be notified of that, right? For them to
Yes,
plan?
but I think what I'll do is wait until we figure out what's going on with
Okay.
number 9,
Yeah,
because Denise will need to follow up with each of these folks anyways to give them like the actual details. I'm just letting them know if they're approved so that they can start preparing as needed. We've already had at least one email us to ask because they saw the extension for the festival or for the food and activity booth. So I just let them know you guys were meeting, the craft booth deadline didn't change. So I think some of them just want time to prepare. And then
Okay.
Denise will give them the more information.
Perfect.
great. Wow, look at what time it is. 6 o'clock on the dot.
It's
Okay, okay, we got a lot done today. So is there any kind of last minute thoughts about anything that we discussed? No? Is there a motion to adjourn? In a second? Oh, man, I don't know who won that one. We'll go with Christine because I think Jenny got the minutes. Okay, so we will wrap this meeting up, but just keep an eye on your email for Friday. And maybe Kathleen, just let us know even if the noon deadline passes, if we didn't hear anything, just so we know we're not, looking for those pictures, but otherwise let's all take a look and then just get back to Kathleen and Denise with our thoughts. Okay,
I won't be around, so don't
Okay.
expect any feedback from me.
okay. I think that's okay. I think we can all take a look at it and see what we think. And then if there's any, things that we need to discuss, I don't think we can we, Kathleen? So let's hope we're all on the same page via email.
Yeah, no
Okay.
discussion via email. You'll just respond back to me with a yes or no or something else, I guess, but like you can't discuss
And then Kathleen,
amongst
you're gonna have
yourselves.
to make the ultimate decision based on check.
Yeah,
Good.
well,
We'll
or
leave it to
you know,
you.
Denise will be back on Monday, so.
Okay, we'll leave it to, we'll have it waiting for her in her inbox when she gets back. I'm sure she won't be annoyed by it at all.
No, she'll be so happy.
Yeah, good. Well, everyone have a good rest of your week and a good weekend. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye, you too. Thank you, Emily.